This video is going to be a film study look at Christian Gonzalez, the second-year corner for the New England Patriots, who's had some interesting and unique and high-level matchups through the first 3 weeks of the 2024 season. Week 1 against Jamar Chase. Week 2 generally matched up against DK Metcalf. Thursday Night Football against the Jets. Obviously a 24-3 loss to Aaron Rodgers and company. Gonzalez matched up against Garrett Wilson often. He did give up a 2-yard touchdown that I'll break down a little bit later. I'm going to separate the film into those 3 weeks. I think Christian Gonzalez is playing at a very high level. I think he's very smooth against deeper routes. There's a lot of conversation about one particular route, the 56-yard touchdown of DK Metcalf in Week 2, and whose fault it was, so I'll step into that and attempt to break that down a little bit. I think he's playing far better than many people are giving him credit for, let's put it that way, especially given the level of competition, number one. Number two, the myriad of job responsibilities, techniques that he's asked to display on a snap-by-snap basis, basically some of the zone coverages that the Patriots are playing, and the way they've used him in the middle of the field occasionally. I think their defense is playing well. Obviously, giving up 24 points and Aaron Rodgers being quite efficient throwing the football isn't going to get the job done like it did in Week 3. Let's start with the most controversial, the Week 2 touchdown by DK Metcalf that is not applied to Christian Gonzalez by many commentators. A couple of different possibilities here in terms of the coverage. It almost looks like sticks to me, where the DBs are playing at the sticks, but it's 2nd and 5. And we're only talking about second possession. So that's normally a third down coverage whereby you're bringing 6 or 7 blitzers, trying to get a free runner, force the quarterback to get rid of the ball early. Simultaneous to that, the DBs who are at the sticks, the line to gain, are just staring at the quarterback, and they're looking to break on routes. Since the running back is out here as number 1, it doesn't seem like Duggars and Christian Gonzalez are really respecting that at all. No one goes with the slot, basically wheel seam by DK Metcalf. Ends up being a 56-yard touchdown. I would apply this to Christian Gonzalez, even though I think he's playing at a super high level. I understand, though, however, that you have a corner from the top side who's going to get depth, and then Duggars here who does not get depth, corresponding depth, so it doesn't look like a mirrored coverage post-snap. You also have a nickel DB in the middle of the field who kind of makes it look like he could be running in the middle third, almost like a Tampa 2 if you had underneath droppers, which you do not in this case. Some would call it possibly a 2 under, 3 deep, where Duggars should have got more depth. Me personally, I think Christian Gonzalez is staring at the quarterback too much and not respecting the route, but he is an extremely versatile player who is on top of everything so far in 2024. So I wouldn't have a problem if Gonzalez or Duggars or someone associated with the Patriots explained it and said, yeah, it was actually Duggars' fault. He's supposed to be playing an invert there and getting depth somewhere beyond the bottom of the numbers. There would certainly be a lot of space open in the middle of the field if that was the case. But later on in the game, Geno thinks he's got the same look, and they run the same exact route. The Patriots kind of make a check. It's actually Duggars who makes the check here as DK walks up to the offensive line. This is a 2nd and 6, somewhat similar part of the field, and they go to the same exact route. It gets covered up better here. My point is not to talk about Christian Gonzalez comparison with this coverage. My point is to talk about what the Patriots are doing and trying to properly evaluate the actual touchdown and assign blame. It's either Duggars or Gonzalez. I'm comfortable with either one. In my opinion, I think stick sucks as a coverage anyway, so I'm not a big fan of it in the first place, with no technique and guys just standing flat-footed, staring at the quarterback. That doesn't necessarily seem to be the case here because you do actually have DBs that are actually getting into a pedal and look like they're possibly respecting the deeper route concepts. Gonzalez is up here, by the way, on this particular rep. It's incomplete to JSN. Gonzalez matched up against DK pretty much the whole game. I happened to take note of how he was playing last year when he got this interception against Tyreek Hill. I think he pushed Tyreek Hill, and I think he was competitive. I don't mean pushed on this play. I mean pushed in terms of forced him to compete on routes that other DBs are not able to keep up with him on. And I think he played exceptional that game. Unfortunately, suffered an injury and was not able to play much in 2023 as a rookie. High point in the football in front of Tyreek Hill. It's not surprising necessarily that he would be able to out-jump Tyreek Hill. It's just a beautiful play, if you ask me. He's pretty much lined up at safety on this snap, which is interesting in and of itself. But we're not going to break down much from 2023. Just going to focus on the first 3 weeks of 2024. Actually going to start the breakdown in terms of 2024 with week 2 against the Seahawks. I happen to do Seahawks videos often, and I was able to watch a significant amount of film. I think it displays what he does extremely well. Cover vertical routes with speed, agility, timing in terms of trying to get up and make a catch at the catch point, at least challenge the receiver. This is DK on a vertical incomplete pass, obviously in the third quarter of the Seahawks 23-20 win in overtime. Off coverage sometimes seems to be something where he'll give up catches. I like to see him up closer to the receiver. A couple of things that the Seahawks did to kind of mitigate the DK versus Gonzalez matchup. They used him in motion often, like you see here. This is a 1st and 10 snag flat concept. DK, I think, maybe it's the angle of the camera, but it almost looks like he's moving a little bit forward at the snap. But this is Gonzalez going all the way across the field. First of all, Gonzalez looks super relaxed at times, but yet can explode in an instant. And in this case, short completion to DK in the right flats. Gonzalez able to make the tackle for no gain. They also utilized him on drag routes a lot. I'm talking about the Seahawks with DK Metcalf. This is an illustration of that, if you ask me. It's a 3rd and 6. DK is up to the top side, matched up with Gonzalez. It's going to be a completion to Charbonnet, the running back. I think you've got a coverage mistake here by the Patriots. For me, based on the film that I watched, I had at least 3 of them. The touchdown to DK Metcalf, this play, and another one that was in the fourth quarter. But a couple of things to notice. How much the Seahawks are trying to get DK open on some of these drag or underneath routes. I think he had 3 catches on these routes underneath, which from a defensive standpoint, you'll be willing to deal with or live with, as opposed to some of the vertical stuff that DK does, sideline routes, or maybe a comeback curl at 10 or 12. Not only does Gonzalez make the tackle here, but he makes the tackle when he's responsible for DK and man. And this is a play that I noticed. First of all, no one's covering Charbonnet out into the flats. Gonzalez with DK trying to navigate potential pick or rub in the middle of the field, goes underneath of it. No one on Charbonnet at all, and he does gain the first down. He gets 7 yards on 3rd and 6, but Gonzalez makes first contact from all the way across the field when he was assigned to DK and man. I think it's a spectacular play, even though in this case the Seahawks got the first down. Clearly he's not at fault, Gonzalez being not at fault, for Charbonnet getting the catch over in the far side flats when he's playing man off the left hand. You can see all the communication that's occurring by the Patriots. White almost tries to chip or grab Charbonnet. I wonder if he had a peel rule, but in any case, no one covers him. Gonzalez has to make the tackle on the far sideline. DK had 2 important wins in this game against Gonzalez. One late in the fourth quarter, and then one in overtime. This is a sideline comeback route. 2-minute warning. Patriots are up 20-17. Maybe you've got a slight push off here, maybe not. I'm not sure. It just looks like 2 guys competing to me, but DK certainly extended his arms. I would like to see Gonzalez tighter or closer to him by alignment. He seems to do a better job, if you ask me, but he's certainly in tight coverage right now. They're both looking back for Geno, who scrambled outside the pocket, and while moving to his right, makes a spectacular throw to DK for a 14-yard gain, excuse me. Overtime, another catch against Gonzalez. You get motion. They widen DK up. Off coverage by Gonzalez here. Again, I'd like to see him more in this type of alignment. I think that's what he does best. It's not that he doesn't play off coverage well. I think it's compared to press coverage or up near the line of scrimmage where he can match vertical routes and be tighter just by alignment. He seems to be, I think, a superstar corner when he's in that alignment. But I understand there's other people who may have a different opinion. So this is an overtime drive where the Seahawks are able to go down and get the game-winning field goal. It's a 2nd and 5, so somewhat inconsequential. You're willing to give up a shorter route, shorter completion, I understand it. I'm just talking about what I see as the individual strengths or where Christian Gonzalez seems to be the most effective, and it would be closer to the line of scrimmage than we saw on that particular snap. Just an example of him following DK across the formation. Does the same thing with Jamar Chase in week 1 and the exact same thing with Garrett Wilson on Thursday Night Football. The Patriots thinking extremely high of him, number 1. and they should. Other teams think incredibly high of him as well, based upon the route combinations that they're running against him, number one. Number two, all of the things they're doing to try to get their receivers open on a particular snap. Up to the top side of the field is a 3rd and 1. Off coverage again by the stacked alignment, and DK certainly has space. Just to further illustrate my point that I think he'd be better served, the Patriots would be better served for him to be up closer to the line of scrimmage more often, but oftentimes you want to obscure or hide the coverage post-snap, and off coverage is a way to do that a little bit more effectively than being pressed up near the line of scrimmage. Rewinding time here a little bit, going back to week 1. Gonzalez matched up against Ja'Marr Chase often. This is a 3rd and 3. I like so many things about his play against Ja'Marr Chase. Number one, probably his physicality. Sometimes it was a little bit extra after the play. It wasn't disrespectful. In fact, I think a couple of times those guys were talking to each other post-snap, or actually while the play was still going on, in a respectful manner. But this is a shield concept whereby the backside X, Irwin, is getting an outside release, trying to shield Gonzalez from getting over the top. The Patriots would have an option to possibly switch this. Point in showing you this is Burrow doesn't throw the football over here. Number one, it ends up in a sack because Gonzalez is following him across, and Burrow, is not sure if the Patriots are switching it or not right now as he's looking at it. They're trying to switch it, and this receiver is assigned to essentially go block Gonzalez, not necessarily a block, but to shield him by his release. Then Burrow thinks that this DB could possibly slide underneath. That's actually not what the Patriots are doing. Gonzalez is following Chase. 21 kind of appears to go underneath as well. They had a great, I think, plan for Chase by putting Gonzalez to his side pretty much all the time. An example here of what I was talking about in the portion where I discussed and tried to break down his coverage of DK Metcalf in week 2. Up near the line of scrimmage is what, for me at least, in the limited sample size I've watched through 3 weeks in 2024 and some stuff from his rookie year last year, is what I'd like to see. This is Ja'Marr Chase pretty much matching it. Do I think that Joe Burrow in the past has thrown this football to Chase and trusted him to catch it? Yes, I've seen him do that in big moments. Basically, he's at the top of his drop now, not at this moment right now, a split second later. Get rid of the football such that it does arrive when Ja'Marr Chase makes his break. It's still going to be an opportunity for Christian Gonzalez to challenge the catch. I think he did a fantastic job against 2 different receivers in the first 2 weeks. Ja'Marr Chase, a really quick, fast, explosive guy, and then DK Metcalf, 6'3", 235 pounds. Ja'Marr Chase switches his stance here on this 3rd and 5. As the backside X, he sees off coverage. I would say that this almost looks similar to the coverage that we noticed. They gave up the touchdown to DK Metcalf, whereby it's 3rd and 5, and you've got all 4 DBs at the sticks, and in this case, it does look like they're threatening the heavy blitz look that would force the quarterback to get rid of the football, and he does. It's a backside stop route to Ja'Marr Chase for 7 yards, able to convert and get the first down. Matched up against Chase one more time on a 2nd and 5. Going to be a shoot route by Chase out into the flats, and Gonzalez is all over it. Burrow's first read was often taken away. This is the play that I'm talking about. I think these two guys are talking to each other a little bit in a good way, probably a healthy manner. They're competing, and I think teams know how good Christian Gonzalez is. Well, Aaron Rodgers said it leading up to the Thursday Night Football game. He said that guy's an elite player, and he's absolutely right. I find it laughable that there are professional services out there rating his coverage skills so poorly. This is a guy who's matched up against the best of the best and won more than his fair share of matchups and oftentimes taken that read away from the quarterback. You should be grading and evaluating all coverage snaps, not just ones where the player is targeted. Against the stacked Twins here, it's a 3rd and 6. Gonzalez is going to actually jam number 1 and impede his route, then cover Chase as well. Burrow ends up scrambling for 4 yards on a 3rd and 6, so he gets close. I think you've got offsetting penalties here, neither one of which is against Gonzalez. He's jamming the point man, which is Irwin, and then still able to settle into the flats to go and handle Chase's out route. You're talking about a guy I think that's putting together a spectacular year, even though Garrett Wilson got him for a touchdown, and I would personally say that the one to DK Metcalf he bears some responsibility as well, him and Duggars. Top side of the field, they're actually going to get a what I would call a special cover 3 on Chase. So certainly at times you got to help on a great receiver. This is fourth quarter. It's a 3rd and 10, so they're trying to get a stop, and they're taking away Jamar Chase as an option. Burrow ends up settling for the check down to Moss, so the Patriots are able to get a stop. But notice what they're doing. Well, first of all, it's a dime alignment by the Patriots in terms of how many DBs are on the field. You got 6. And the only inside linebacker is actually going to jam Chase out while Gonzalez gets to his cover 3 post-snap. That's what this is. We would call it cover 3 special because of how it works out post-snap. 4 underneath droppers, zone turning corner. He's basically matching Jamar Chase's route, the backside of a 3-by-1 formation. Oftentimes you'll just have a Louis, a man, a lock call, whatever you want to call it. And then finally, to illustrate a little bit of his versatility, I think this is second possession. Chase is lined up into the bunch, and here is Gonzalez, making it look like they're going to play man. Number 25, the nickel defender, is also up there, but they're not. Gonzalez is kind of dropping out to the middle of the field. It ends up being a short of the line to gain. It's a 5-yard completion to Hudson. It's a great tackle by Jones. I think Gonzalez turns the wrong way. I think he opens the wrong way, and perhaps he sees the safety here, so then peels back to the middle of the field. So it almost ends up looking like a Tampa 2 Mike linebacker, whereby this is the corner in the flats, here's a corner up here in the flats, but stretching the definition of Tampa 2 here because that guy's not getting depth, but he's also reading the underneath drag, so he knows he has no work. So there are times when we evaluate coverage, and I'm going to relate this to the DK touchdown, whereby the route delineation kind of morphs or alters the structure of the coverage post-snap. So you're getting a drag backside. It's a 3-by-1 set. So we're talking about this safety here, Duggars. When he sees the block and then inside release, he looks for work from the opposite side. That could have been the specific job responsibility that he had post-snap, or it could have just been an adjustment by him, a response to the backside X blocking and then running a drag, which ended up short of the line to gain. Finally, let's get to Gonzalez's play against Garrett Wilson on Thursday Night Football in their 24-3 loss to the Jets. Garrett Wilson did have 5 catches. They were for a total of 33 yards. His long, in terms of catches, was 9. He does get a touchdown that I'll show you a little bit later on. This is kind of the point that I'm trying to illustrate with Gonzalez, whereby I think when he's up close, he's got the athletic ability, the hips and the feet to be able to recover even when he's a little bit off balance. DK Metcalf did make him hit the deck once on a route in week 2, meaning he was able to get to the top of the route and kind of push a little bit. I wouldn't call it a push off, and Gonzalez actually fell to the ground. But generally, even when he's a little bit off balance and you've got a receiver trying to change direction, you can see Aaron Rodgers is looking here right now. And this is indicative of 3 or 4 other routes that we had from that Thursday Night Football game, whereby Rodgers is looking to Wilson and Gonzalez is all over him. Again, the long in terms of route, in terms of a catch or completion to Garrett Wilson in Thursday Night Football was 9 yards. We'll give the end zone angle of this one for a couple of reasons. Number one, you'll see the pressure that Aaron Rodgers has to avoid. Number two, you'll see him get downfield. Basically, he's actually downfield as Garrett Wilson. As Alan Lazard, is running for 27 yards. You do get an idea of how tightly Gonzalez is attached to Wilson. Aaron Rodgers is able to identify Lazard coming across the field. It's a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. Lazard looked great. Shouldn't be any surprise. Slant route to Wilson up here against Gonzalez in the second quarter. Again, it's a 3rd and 5. I tried to focus most of what I'm doing in this video on third down stuff where you're facing Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf, and now Garrett Wilson over the course of a 3-game stretch. He's going to be matched up or locked up against the best receivers in the NFL every week pretty much. Great read by Aaron Rodgers on the window. Basically, there's a defender that's in the way now, but that defender is going in man-to-man out into the flats. So great throw by Aaron Rodgers. Maybe a little bit on the backside, but it's also possible that that's where he meant to throw it. Gonzalez unable to get a pass deflection. Ends up being the longest catch that he gave up on Thursday Night Football against Garrett Wilson, 9 yards. End zone angle, same play. Rodgers kind of short-arming it, quick, still takes a shot. Down here inside the red zone, 3 times Rodgers, either under center or in the shotgun, was able to just get the ball out on little hitch screens. People generally call them smoke screens nowadays. Get the ball out really quickly to a receiver because he had off coverage up there. Gonzalez actually misses the tackle here. Goes down as an 8-yard gain. Garrett Wilson's going to score on the very next play. This one's a 2nd and 4. Patriots offense got nothing done in that game. Did the defense no favors. I still think their defense is a really high-level group. All right, the out route was his 3rd quarter, and the Jets are up 14-3. So I don't blame Christian Gonzalez for going for a pick here in this situation because they've got nothing done offensively. B, to try to make a play and conceivably get a pick 6. It's a sick throw by Aaron Rodgers for real. He actually kind of hesitates for a moment trying to read what's going to happen. You got Lazard running the under here, and then Wilson as the second option running out towards the pylon. Gonzalez snuck a peek for a minute at Rodgers, who decided not to throw it to Lazard, and then whips it out there. I mean, a dangerous throw, but Aaron Rodgers has the arm and accuracy to do it. Wilson able to sneak into the end zone. I would say that, Garrett Wilson is a high-level receiver. Perhaps others may not agree. For him to only have a long of 9 yards in this game, I think is pretty significant. Tells you about the type of coverage and how sticky and how much of an annoyance Christian Gonzalez can be when he's playing in this alignment that you see here. He actually does, it's a bail technique here, so basically a zone turn from a press alignment. You can still get that done. I spoke earlier about him being in an off alignment to kind of not give away the coverage pre-snap to the quarterback. You can just use press bail and accomplish the same task. I don't know how often the Patriots expect him to be up near the line of scrimmage. In my opinion, he's so good in coverage and man coverage against these elite wide receivers. I would want him to be located there as much as possible. I don't pretend to be an expert on the Patriots defense nor the Patriots team overall. In this case, I happen to have watched 2 of their games very intently. Week 1, they played the Bengals, and I'm a Ravens content creator, so the Ravens play the Bengals actually in Week 5 this year, so I like to try to gather offensive film. Hence, I got to look at Christian Gonzalez against Jamar Chase, and I was blown away. It's like he's actually taking Jamar Chase out of the game plan on certain snaps. Week 2 against DK Metcalf, DK was able to get free on some underneath drag routes. I thought DK had 3 organic wins against Christian Gonzalez. I showed you 2 of them. The late 4th quarter comeback route on the bottom of our screen, the right-hand side of the Seahawks offense, where Geno Smith scrambled out, hit him on the sideline, diving catch, organic win. Also, the off-coverage catch in overtime on a 2nd and 5 for I think 9 yards, organic win. So Christian Gonzalez is going to lose matchups sometimes, sure. I think you're looking at a guy who, by the time 2024 is finished, has put together film that will be among the top 6 or 8 corners in the entire league. And that's why I reject the notion that's out there that he should be rated so poorly as PFF and other rating services have apparently applied to him. I don't think that it's fair to only grade targets. You should grade every single play from a coverage standpoint. If you're not doing that, you're not really giving a real grade. It's bullshit. Look at the film and watch if you want to. If you're a Patriots fan and you want to evaluate it independent of me, watch the film without someone like me talking. Evaluate it yourself. He's a high-level defender on the outside who can follow and play on the right side of the defense, the left side of the defense, who can play in the slot, mix it up and play zone at times from his outside alignment. Super talented guy, if you ask me. The Patriots have gotten exactly what they wanted so far through 3 games, I think, from the standpoint of being able to limit the other team's number 1 wide receiver with just 1 player. And right now, that guy's Christian Gonzalez. Appreciate you guys' time, man. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section. Consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't done so already. And if you think other Patriots fans, or football fans in general for that matter, would enjoy this film study look at Christian Gonzalez, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.